This is Life magazine from September 28th, 1905. And for comparison's sake, I have a more recent issue of Life that you've probably seen if you've been watching my channel. But this one is almost 60 years younger. And this is still quite old. But this is some old school Life right here. But let's just take a look at this cover first. It's very artistic. You see the winged archangel character fiddling, as we see all kinds of strange imagery. For example, what looks to be a goat or a dog swimming in the water. What looks to be a signpost right here. It's a couple sleeping under a tree. Some dancing cherubs here with some letters on a board, an owl smoking a pipe, a donkey with a collar with dollar signs on it, maybe a Boss Tweed reference. American is some of America. There's an eagle hatching. Every issue Thursday, 10 cents a copy. And then we see society with an Alice in Wonderland image, literature with a sort of a literary image, politics showing two babies, which is so appropriate, and drama. And the cover has a very simple picture, just simply titled Clearing, showing a couple on what looks to be by some water, possibly a beach or some stones or boulders. The back has a very old school ad for Murad cigarettes. To become a metropolitan standard, a cigarette must possess no single characteristic, however slight, to offend the finer taste of higher critics. Murad cigarettes have reached this enviable place by possessing a flavor that is full, rich, and exquisitely mild, an aroma that is delightful and distinctive, a uniformity that is above criticism. 10 for 15 cents. And we see a scene from 114 years ago of well-dressed people smoking as they're exiting a well-lit club in the evening, maybe Times Square. There's an automobile right here. Longacre Square, New York is where this is supposed to be. I turn the page, and here we have an ad for Mercedes. $7,500. Paris price, New York price. That's pretty expensive, but it shows you Daimler manufacturing company. For reliability and luxury combined with low cost for maintenance, there is no automobile made in the country that compares with the American Mercedes. Barton Gustier, Bordeaux, Eau d'Olive, olive oil. It almost looks like a liquor ad, doesn't it? An important announcement concerning Old English blackjacks, the Gorham Company silversmiths and goldsmiths, cups and tankards. Here we have a cartoon. It says, "It is expensive sending your girls to college. I should say so. My wife takes advantage of their absence to dress about 20 years younger than she really is." All over. When the world is out of countries and when the country's out of men, we'll start afresh and then we'll have the simple life again. No kidding. No man is utterly alone so long as he can forget himself. While there is life, there is hope. We acknowledge the compilement of a letter of remonstrance from a respected neighbor who thinks our opinions of some value. He says we keep making uncomplimentary references to General Wood, and he cannot understand why so enlightened a paper should be so persistently wrong on that subject. You seem, he says, to have got an idea that General Wood has jumped over men because of favoritism. That is not so, he says. It was Wood's efficiency that won. This is challenging my. I consider myself a good reader, but this is challenging my ability to read. Efficiency that won him all he got, and he adds there would never have been any difficulty with his promotion to be Major General had it not been for Senator Hanna, whose opposition was wholly due to the Rathbone case. This is news, but it's almost, I don't know if you watched the show Deadwood, how they talk so flowery, the speech, it's written in that manner. Here's some more cartoons. Now you see it, now you don't. September, the little barefoot boy, alas, Teddy Roosevelt, her adopted son, the Sultan of Sulu thinks of marrying again. Mr. White says the United States and Russia are Siamese twins. This is Delighted was a popular Roosevelt. He seems to be in a submarine and he's talking to mermaids. These almost seem just nonsensical. But this is the type of art that was done back then. It's interesting, but this is 114 years ago, and see how things are so different now. Mrs. Hampack, Jodie wants an English earl or duke, but if I can't get one for her, I wonder how a German count would answer. Oh, probably in Dutch or broken English, and kind of corny jokes. Life's hints for emergencies. The most modest of maids, bear it in mind, if she's drowning will hug like a bear, so it's safer to swim up behind and tow her ashore by the hair. So a lot of the limericks and things are definitely from a different period. The Masked Marauder, and he seems to have rejected a lot of his name. Catherine something. There's it's a female. It's a Catherine something who wrote this story. And the story continues on with these very cool little illustrations. And on the next page, we have a picture of William Howard Taft, the president, who was well known for his girth. And this is not a very flattering picture. So, but the color, I have to admit, this color is very good. He's smoking a cigarette, holding his top hat, his cane. He has an interesting horse racing fob on his watch. He has a horse stick pin on his tie. And this is obviously a pull-out poster for something to put on your wall or frame. Interesting. Echoes from Athens. Here you get hints. No ragpickers allowed on this avenue. I'm no ragpicker. I'm Atlas. And he's holding the earth like Atlas, but I'm trying to figure out the symbolism of that, or what. It probably has something to do with the news at that time. Here's a 2-page, beautifully done drawing. Copyright 1905 by Life Publishing. A broken engagement, and it shows this young woman, and she's surrounded by her drawer full of many letters, presumably from the man who broke the engagement. And there's lots of letters, several stacks. She also has a ball of yarn, some dead flowers, a picture that she's looking at. And she's crying. She has a tissue or a handkerchief in her hand. She's reading a letter. There's a scarf on this chair. I think those are sachets on the bed. Very interesting picture. Just a work of art, and I don't know if it has any bearing on anything in the magazine. Life. Sonnet to a gouty friend. Dear drinker of all sorts and all kinds of brews, smoker of weeds innumerable and good, inhaling cigarettes as hourly food, that e'en thy lungs may have perpetual booze, seeker afar all gouty things to choose, all potables with rheumatism imbued, all edibles that most should be eschewed. To visit thee, how could King Gout refuse? Thou art the court of honor of this king, all acid things in thee are at the flood, and through thy joints do percolate and sting. Beware lest advertisements of thy blood reach to thy nose upon Ontario wing, and blaze into the world thy servitude. Interesting. Obviously a little bit about temperance. Back to earth. He, goodbye forever, I leave you now, never to return. She, well, for goodness sake, remember that it's cheaper to telephone than to send a messenger. In other words, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Wanted handsome young women for the ballet. It's interesting. It just seems to be lots of little vignettes. Here's another cartoon with two insects dressed up, and they're saying, Mrs. Buzzum, there goes Mr. Firefly. He was in love with you once, wasn't he? And Mrs. Beetle says, oh, yes, he's an old flame of mine. Here's another interest. This is this nice drawing here. Monologues of the Grass Widow. Excuse me. It does seem odd that the only one of my man friends who became estranged from me through my marriage is my husband. This Bubbler World is the title of this. This is the Russian and Japanese soldiers may now go home and organize veterans associations. That's in reference to the Japanese-Russo War that had occurred around this time. A lot of this is very interesting stuff. She, now wasn't it thoughtful of me to go out early and gather those flowers for the breakfast table? Fine, he kisses her. Where's the coffee? Oh, but I can't think of everything, darling, can I? They're simple, not particularly funny, but interesting little captions to these. It's the unexpected that happens, like the little cherub that's going to shoot the arrow and make her fall in love, and she kicks it out. But when you look at these, you can start to sort of wrap your brain around the sense of humor of this time. Aut scissors, aut nullus. Keep off the grass. I must, said the rhetoric professor. At such gross ambiguity, scoff. The grass cannot grow when I sit on it, so you perceive I am keeping it off. Wilson Whiskey, that's all. That's their ad. Begins right, ends right, is right in the middle. New York Central. There is sort of this ragtime sense of humor going on here. The thorough aging of Hunter rye fructifies and purifies its superb qualities. Sold at first-class cafes and by jobbers. William Lanahan and Sons, Baltimore. J&F Martel Cognac, founded 1715, and fine old liqueur brandies, ESOP. Genuine old brandies made from wine. Booth's Dry Gin commands the highest price in London and is recognized as the best dry gin in the world. Smith Premier typewriters appeal to your sense and your senses. Look at the eye on that ad. Letters written upon the Smith Premier always present a sightly appearance because of the faultless alignment and clean type impression due to mechanical accuracy. Here's the Prudential again. We see this ad in so many of my videos. The strength of Gibraltar, the Rock of Gibraltar. Their logo has withstood so many decades. Our foolish contemporaries. Willie to the circus went. He thought it was immense. His little heart went pitter-pat, for the excitement was intense. Harvard Lampoon. A Westerner tells this card story. 3 men played dummy whist. One of them afterward described the game. Number 1 held 5 aces in his hand. Number 2 held a revolver, and I held the inquest. And in between, there's little, in a pinch, use Allen's footies. There's like little ads in between. Dr. Watson, the bishop, when last seen, was clean-shaven. Sherlock Holmes, very good. Then is sure he uses Williams shaving soap. See, there's little ads mixed in with these jokes. So that might be a way to, some cheap advertising. M&M portable houses, summer cottages, automobile houses, children's playhouses, hunters' cabins, photograph galleries, etc. Royal, the widest collar made, Royal 27. If your dealer won't supply you, write us. Knox hat. Evans ale is brewing that satisfies all. Reuter's soap, manufactured from the best possible stock and containing none but the purest ingredients, is wonderfully effective in clearing and beautifying the complexion and softening and whitening the hands. Lead and shoe tree. I think people use those to keep their shoes intact. People would have their shoes repaired back then. They wouldn't just go buy a new pair. They would maintain them. Pulp Hartford, Model B, price $7.50, the best bargain. Yet offered only a few for immediate delivery. The efficient 10 horsepower engine gives you an unusual hill climber. It will give you everyday services at little cost. Kodak film for Kodaks. Edie Penards, try them. You will be well repaid in sending for these most famous of all toilet preparations. Quinine again. Boy, they loved the quinine back then. It was in everything. Wasserman Brothers, Bankers and Brokers. Here's another little cartoon buried in here. Yes, darling, in another year I shall be able to support you, but I may not want you then. September in the Adirondacs. Morton Trust Company. Murray and Lanham's Florida Water, the perfume of perfumes. Interesting. Florida Water now is a voodoo ingredient. If you want to cast voodoo spells, you can buy vials of Florida Water. Or if you live down here, you can just go get them. La Magneta, the perfect Havana. That would be a good cigar when it was still legal to buy Havana cigars in America. Liveries, whipcords. Liveries are the pastry of the clothing business, either good or bad, and demand a special chef. Our livery designer is foremost of his profession, hence the superb lines and style of the clothing for servants, both inside and out, has its inception in this year's. For he's a jolly good fellow. I guess if you want this picture, so it looks like they put like a piece of artwork, and if you really liked the piece of artwork, you could order off for $1 and get a big lithograph of it to put on your wall. And it seems to be the same theme of jilted ladies. That's the second one. Just the sort of book to give a friend going on a journey. It will make any friend forget you in minutes. Fall finals at McCutcheon's. And whoop, yes, it is coming apart. This is very old. So, old magazines like this, I don't look at them very often, except for special times with you to show them to you. But in the closing, we just took a glimpse 114 years ago at the humor, the lifestyle, the culture, the needs and the caprices of people in this country 114 years ago. When I was born, people from 1905 were still in the workforce, but time flies the older you get, and more, even now looking at stuff from the 80s is interesting to me, when it used to be brand new to me. And the 70s just seemed like a boring decade, and the 90s I thought would never ever be cool. And it's just interesting to me to take looks to take these little trips into the past. So, and I hope you found this interesting too. And with that said, I hope you subscribe and like this video, and please continue to come by and see what I have in store for you. Good night.